Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Spiffing Brit, and welcome to Sid Meiers' Civilization VII. This is fantastic. I've had access to the game for a handful of days now, thanks to the developers giving me early access. And in that period of time, I've dropped in 50 hours, and as you can see, leveled up quite a few times. However, the most important thing that I'm sure you're wanting to ask me is, Spiff, is Sid Meiers' Civilization VII a perfectly balanced game? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I thought that my job would be easy. The developers, you see, have had almost a decade to work on this glorious game, and that means that everything is perfectly balanced. There are no bugs, there are no glitches, there's not even any exploits. Nothing is overpowered, and everything in this world works perfectly. Is what I would say if that were the case, but it is not. I mean, come on, of course, what were you thinking? It's me. So, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be playing a brand new game of Sid Meier's Civilization VII with Catherine the Great as our ruler. Now, the way that this game works is different to previous civs. Instead of picking a leader and a nation at the same time, you instead pick a leader and then you pick the nation that you're going to play, and the nations are age specific. For example, America exists in the modern age but not the ancient era. Whilst this will be a controversial opinion, and at first I wasn't the biggest fan, after around about 5 hours of gameplay I kinda liked it. Now, these leaders aren't all created equal. Some of them are horrifically overpowered and others are kind of mediocre at best. Amina here is really bad. All of her unique bonuses can be found and replicated via other means in game. Gold is really easy to come by, so is combat strength, and this resource capacity bonus is equivalent to building a market. However, we can then take a look at Spain, who gets a metric ton of gold every time they discover a natural wonder, the ability to just buy an entire armada, and most importantly doubles the yields from natural wonders that they find. This is absurdly powerful. However, the developers decided they wanted to mess with the balance even more, so they added mementos. Now, you can turn these off for multiplayer, but in single player you can basically pick two wonderful little perks that you unlock by leveling up these leaders. However, some leaders have mementos that are pretty terrible. Like, for example, Amina has a memento that gives +1 combat strength for all units in plains and deserts, which is 20% as powerful as her existing ability. If we instead compare that to Isabella, you can get yourself the Padron Real, which gives you +100% yields on natural wonders, which is a duplicate of her existing ability. Now, that does mean you could, say, take Isabella's memento and put it on Jose here. However, you could just stack it on Isabella and get 3 times the yields. Now, that's perfectly balanced indeed, devs. I'm definitely sure that won't destroy the balance of multiplayer. So we're going to be playing as what I deem to be the most overpowered civ across all of the ages. This doesn't mean Catherine is the best in the first age, but it does mean that she has an absolutely filthy gameplay style. So why are we playing Catherine? Well, she gets +2 culture for each displayed great works, and cities settled in cold tundra climates gain science equal to 25% of their culture per turn. That's really quite decent, and basically when you play as her you want to get yourself many little great works. However, when you play her for a little bit you unlock the Eagle Banner ability, which means that cities gain 5% bonus science efficiency per great work that they contain. Now, that's really overpowered. However, you can actually stack this even further, because at level 9 she gets the exact same thing. The Great Imperial Crown is another +5% science per great work on display. The only problem is you need to be level 9 with Catherine to unlock this, and I've spent probably 25 hours playing as her, and I'm only level 5. The other very overpowered memento that we're going to go with is the Corpus Julius Civilis, and we'll get into why that's the case when we hop in game. So next up we need to pick our age and civilization. We're going to go for Antiquity Age, and the game is recommending that we play either the Romans or the Greeks. Now, if you're a normal player, that's probably a good idea. However, we actually want to play as the Maya. The Maya are utterly ridiculous, and I can't wait to show them off to you. Alright, so without further ado, let's throw ourselves into our first game of Sid Meier's Civilization VII. A quick disclaimer, this video is sponsored by 2K to promote Civ 7. However, I recorded and edited this entire video before we even got the sponsorship offer, so yeah, thanks for the free money exploit. But the game has a lot of new features that we're of course going to be showing off and breaking today. And because this video is sponsored, I should say that this game is releasing on the 11th of February for Nintendo Switch, PC, PlayStation, and Steam Deck. Check out my link in the description to learn more. Onwards with the video. So we've spawned in surrounded by tundra. Now, for most people this is terrible, but for us it is brilliant, because if we have a city inside of tundra, we get 25% of our culture turned into science. And because we're playing as the Mayans, our capital gains +0.5 science for adjacent vegetated terrain. Now, this does mean that if we move our capital in one more tile and settle it here, we will have free vegetated terrain around us, which is better than what we currently have, so that's what we're going to do. We do lose a turn, but that's fine, because in the grand scheme of things it will pay off. So let us found our first city. We'll bam, it is looking lovely. We are making 1.5 science, and in this city we can recruit our first scout. Perfect. So we have ourselves our first little scout. He can run around and go into these various little goodie huts scattered around. We have a cave over here, we have some kind of coastal edifice, and by hitting those up we can get various little modifiers and bonuses. Alright, so we're going to pick up our first little cave, and oh, what is this? Oh, exciting. We can spend 2 turns of our happiness in order to gain 60 culture. Now 60 culture is going to be really good for us, as that's going to allow us to basically unlock our government much faster than any other player. Now we get our first little mission here, which is basically going to be deciding how our little empire grows, and we'll be saying that our goal is to build a library and a monument. And fantastic, we finally researched our first civic, which means we're able to do a few things. We can pick our first government. In our case, we're going to want to be a classical republic, and now we can start researching some various civics. Now when it comes to researching civics, you have civics tied to the age, so for example antiquity, but we also have ones tied to our civilization, so Maya. Now this is where things get very broken, because Maya's civics are some of the most busted creations I've ever seen, because eventually we can unlock the calendar round, which says that after researching a technology, gain culture equal to 10% of its cost, and then after studying a civic, we gain science equal to 10% of its cost. Yes, this gets very broken very quickly, because you'll just start blitzing through technologies at an absurdly fast rate. So yes, that's what we're going to be working our way towards. And when it comes to our government, we can slot in social policies. Now if you remember, I took the memento at the start of the game that allowed me to have an additional social policy slot, and that pays off now because we get an extra +2 culture on the palace, which of course is translated into an additional science for us. Ah, fantastic, we meet our first little city-state friend. This is the village of They're a scientifically focused settlement, and with 170 influence, I can ask them to become my friend. It is always worthwhile making friends with the city-states because they will provide you with some wonderful bonuses. Now after generating enough happiness, your civilization will eventually have a little celebration. This is very fun. It allows you to select one of your governmental bonuses, in our case either cultural production. However, most importantly, it also gives you an extra social policy slot, which allows us to drop in this little Mayan bonus, which is +1 science on vegetated terrain, which we can pop in for an extra little bit of science in our city. Now we haven't met any other civilizations yet, but when we do, we can start comparing how well we're doing, and I get the feeling that I might be doing a little bit better than most of them. Now this red scout here means that there's a hostile village nearby, probably somewhere up here. Hostile villages will send out raiding parties. They're basically this game's version of barbarians. Oh, we've met our first civilization. It's none other than Napoleon Bonaparte. Fantastic. Hello, it's nice to meet you. I don't quite know where he is, but generally meeting other civilizations is a good thing. Alright, on turn 20 we can start researching the calendar round so that we can get our ridiculous synergy of researching and culturing at the same time. We also have 180 influence now, which allows us to befriend the independent people of and we've discovered another player. It's Lafayette. Hello, it is lovely to meet you, Lafayette. Oh, we've met an additional civilization. It's a German. Oh, it's Frederick. Hi, Frederick. Nice to meet you. Frederick's a bit scary because he's playing as the Romans in this age, and they're by far the single most overpowered faction in the first age. Not because they're really good at like science or anything, but because their units genuinely become unkillable. Right, now we've researched our first little mastery tech. The way this works is underneath some technologies and civics, there's kind of like a little bonus technology. You don't need to research it to move on to the next stage of the tech tree, but by getting it, you might gain yourself some cool bonuses. In our case, mastering writing has given us +1 science on science buildings, and most importantly, a codex. This is technically a great work that we can put inside of our capital city. This codex provides us with +2 science. However, that synergizes with my little ability to give us an additional +5% science, meaning that we are now up to 18 science per turn. Now, we can actually see how we're doing against the other civs of the game, and see that yes, most of them are on about 10 science. We are slightly behind on culture though, and culture is something we want to be leading on. Oh, fantastic. We get another event where in this event we can also pick up ourselves an additional codex. So that's exactly what we'll do. We now have 2 codexes we can slot into our capital, which boosts up our science even higher. We're now up to 22 science and 21 culture. And there we go. Fantastic. We've unlocked the Mayan calendar. This now means every time we research a science or civic, part of that is then fed into the other. The most important thing, however, is if we're able to build our unique quarter, every time we research a technology, we also start generating production from it. This gets out of hand very quickly. Oh, fantastic. Is now leveled up as a city-state, so we can pick its bonus. There's a few nice little advantages we can have, like for example receiving a codex, but we're actually going to go for science buildings receive +1 science for every city-state you're a suzerain of. Currently we only have 1 science building, which is our library, but our capital is now up to producing 18 science, which is then increased by our multiplying great work effect. Right, so it's finally time for us to pick our pantheon. Now you only get your pantheon bonus if you actually construct the altar inside of your city. In our case, some of the good ones have gone, but I'm going to go for the God of the Sun, which just makes the altar produce one of every resource. At the same time, we're about to research irrigation in one turn, and then by researching irrigation, that will knock some time off of studying public life. Okay, now I bought myself a settler, and it's finally time to settle our second little settlement. However, it's important to know that this won't be a city. This little settlement will start its life as a mere town that will feed into our empire. So we've settled the little town of Oxmal, and by doing so, we can add a few resources into our supply chain. In our case, I want some additional food, so I'm going to start making my way over towards this kaolin. I have no idea what it is, but it'll provide a food bonus to our capital city, so I want it. Okay, right, let's now add this resource into our supply chain. So by grabbing it, we can now assign this resource into our capital, giving it some extra food. Fantastic. So now our capital grows a little bit faster, which is very important. Oh, and we just got a ridiculous bonus. Basically, this city-state gave us 25 culture, which meant we immediately researched public life, and then by researching public life, it meant we immediately finished researching our technology. Yeah, this is the wild cycle we're now going to get stuck into. We're about to research sailing, which is probably going to knock a turn off of discipline. Actually, do we want to delay that? Yes, we do. Now I'm going to do a little tactical maneuver here. You see, my little building here, the Jalar, is going to finish constructing next turn, which will create this quarter that will translate research technologies into production. Now, whilst that doesn't mean that much at the moment, it means that we can start chaining technologies into production, which we can then chain into other stuff. So now that we've built it, we will then finish researching sailing, which will allow us to, in our city, build ourselves, let's go for the monument, and we can place that on top of our library. Now, it should take us 6 turns to build the monument. However, by researching sailing, we're going to get a nice little boost. An additional codex. Fantastic. Let's grab that. That's going to give us some extra bonus little science points, but most importantly, another great work we can slot into our capital. So we now have 3 great works there, which means we're now up to producing 40 science per turn. Oof, that's really quite good. So yes, we're going to research sailing, which speeds up our culture, but most importantly, means that our monument gets built an entire turn faster. And I've met a new civilization. Oh, wonderful. It's Xerxes. It's trippy, hopefully a pretty chill dude. Anyway, let's build ourselves our little monument. We get 100 gold for completing our quest, which is great, as that means in 2 turns time, we can buy ourselves a nice new settler. Oh, and this is it. We managed to turn Taruga into a city-state, which means we can pick up monumental architecture, which is so stupidly overpowered. You get +2 culture on monuments for every city-state you're a suzerain of. In our case, we have 2 city-states that we are suzerains of, which means each monument we build gets +4 culture. So we now go to our city and see that yes, our tile with our monument is now producing 6 culture, and that is then translated into culture, which is then translated into science. It's such a good feedback loop. It is absurdly strong. There is no way to counter it. Oh dear, is someone being defeated? Frederick Barbarossa has been defeated. Oh no. Yeah, this is something I noticed. The AI sometimes does just lose to city-states, which is really funny when it happens, but also pretty awkward. Someone built a wonder. Fantastic. Good for them. I don't care about wonders though, because I'm farming codexes in my capital, and I'm now up to 50 science per turn. It is turn 57. This puts me at a ridiculous advantage against all the other players, as you can very clearly see. This just isn't fair. But it doesn't matter to me because I'm having a lot of fun. Now, this is where things are going to start getting really ridiculous. Because the technologies are getting more and more expensive as the age goes on, the production we gain from researching them also increases, which means we're going to start turning technologies into world wonders in our capital city. Alright, so we place down our brand new little town of Wak Capnal, which allows us to start stealing this glorious natural wonder, and most importantly, add some gold into our empire's trade. Nice. Yep, all of this stuff is very, very powerful. This settlement is going to be ridiculously strong. And fantastic. We picked up a new little city-state. I think the only decent bonus here for us is an additional codex, so we can grab another one of those to pop into our capital city, which is actually full of codexes. Okay, we're going to need some more space for more codexes. That's fine by me, because next turn we should probably finish building the Hanging Gardens. We only got 1 turn left on navigation, and I get the feeling it's going to throw it over the line. Hanging Gardens is now constructed. Lovely. Right, now we're finally able to start getting very silly with our government. Thanks to the Meiers bonuses, we can get +2 science on happiness buildings and +2 culture on happiness buildings, which, as you can imagine, with Russia is very good because culture equals science for us. So we are now up to 79 science and 58 culture per turn, which is, just just a fair bit more than the other players on the server. They're just not having as good a time, I don't think. Anyway, we researched a technology which finished off our construction and massively powered through into the Oracle, which is just even better. Let's grab ourselves some mathematics so we can build this academy, because we need more places to slot codexes into because we've run out of room for them. I've also settled this little settlement of Koba, just did some nice tundra to feed into our capital and give it more food, because that's basically what these cities do. In the case of Uxmal, we get extra food from pastures and plantations, and then all of the town's food is sent up the road to the connected city, meaning that our capital can grow even faster. It's a really nice synergy, and I actually really like its addition to the game. Alright, so things are going quite well for us as we're at turn 77. However, the way this game works is that everything is split up into ages. You no longer just play one continuous game of Civ, instead we are playing in the Age of Antiquity, and eventually our empires will start to crumble. However, if we are able to achieve various types of golden ages, then when we move into the next age, we get some fantastic bonuses. And fantastic, we've built ourselves the Oracle in our capital city, which gives us a nice little boost to our culture. We can also build ourselves a fancy little academy over here. Alright, so on turn 87, we've picked up a new city-state friend, and our capital city is looking even better. We are producing 100 science per turn, finally, which is very, very powerful indeed. This now means that we can slot some additional great works into our capital city, which, as you can imagine, is going to result in us generating quite a bit more science. There we go, we're up to 116 now. I've also decided to create ourselves an actual second city. I've upgraded Wak Cabnal over here to the premium status of being a city, which means we're able to now build proper districts and monuments here. We don't actually need a second city, we will still smash our way through this age, but it's just going to allow us to do it even faster. Oh, Napoleon has built himself the Petra, that's fantastic, and I've researched engineering, which gives me additional culture, which equals more science, as well as also giving me a nice production boost to building the Colossus, which is a very fancy wonder I'm very excited to have. In terms of technologies left, we really haven't got that many technologies to go. This is going to result in some very silly things happening. Alright, so we're now in an exciting position whereby we can actually choose to get an extra production towards wonders, because yeah, we might as well just start farming all of these wonders. Our cities are exploding in terms of value. Right, we had 2 turns left on our science, however by researching commerce that researched our science, which in turn has now fed into the Colossus being, instead of 10 turns away from completion, 1 turn away from completion. Sid Meiers, what the heck? This isn't balanced in the slightest. Great. Oh, what's this? Oh, Xerxes hates me. Oh, he's trying to denounce me. That's fine, Xerxes, you grumpy old sod. It's okay if he hates me because he's all the way down here. He can't really do anything about it. Oh, fantastic. We've now slotted 8 resources into our capital city, which means we can play as the Ming in the next stage. But also, that's a lot of salt. We have 3 units of salt in our capital, meaning most of our military units take only 1 turn to produce. Yep, seems pretty good to me. Okay, it's turn 106, and I have run out of technologies to research. Yep, that's right. I've done everything on the technology tree. However, this isn't a bad thing, because you see at the end of the technology tree is future tech, which takes us 8 turns to research. It's very, very expensive, but by researching it, we get 1 wildcard attribute point and a boost to a starting technology in the next age, as well as 10 age progress points, which basically brings about the end of this age a little bit quicker. The main important thing to notice is that this also costs a huge amount of research to do, meaning when we research this, we get a huge amount of culture, we get a huge amount of production as well. This allows us to effectively infinitely cycle this over and over and over again. Oh, what is this? Oh, Xerxes is declaring war on me. Classic Xerxes. Now, fortunately, we don't really have to worry about this because Xerxes' units aren't as good as ours, and most importantly, he's really far away and has to walk through all of my city-states to reach me. If he was really close, maybe I'd be a little bit worried, but yeah, he's not. I guess I can train myself a singular horseman to run around and cause chaos. Alright, so we have 1 horseman, and this is a archer. We have 37 combat strength. They have 12, so we're just going to go over there and almost one-hit them. Perfect. Splendid. What a lovely gameplay design. You know, I think we can probably turn the entire world against Xerxes here by befriending Napoleon, because then that means everyone on our little continent is now going to be at war with Xerxes. Fantastic. Good luck, Xerxes, my friend. You chose a very bold time to attack. So there we go. We completed our first future tech, which then overflowed goad into producing a wonder in this city, which has given us some culture points. Lovely. Here's the Monk's Mound. With the Monk's Mound constructed, we can now do something pretty silly. We can put +4 food in here. Lovely. And, oh yes, in our capital city, let's do this. We can take out all of this salt and instead put in +10% science. Why not? There we go, 135 science in our capital. What lovely balance. We're up to 181 science in the first age. Oh dear. And we have a wildcard policy slot. Brilliant. This allows us to grab +1 science in settlements for each resource assigned to them. Lovely. So we'll grab that. That now means that our technology is up to, 202 science per turn. Right, let's grab future tech again. This time it'll only take 6 turns to do. Right, so we've researched future tech again, which has boosted up the age progress, which means we're going to research future tech another time. And I guess in our capital we can produce another settler. Why not? Oh, and I've managed to grab myself an additional 2 silver by setting up a trade route with Napoleon. So I do believe our purchase costs for units are now, yes, ridiculously cheap. It costs us 50 gold to buy a Jaguar Slayer. Very, 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 very nice. And what's this? A wildcard leader attribute point. Oh, lovely. Well, we can take this bad boy and we can now dump it into our capital and get +10% science for every alliance we have. There we go. We're bam. That will now boost our science up very nicely. And we're going to place down our 6th city over here because why not? This gives us a nice little military point. And we're going to research ourselves future tech here. Yep, this is where things get quite silly. So we research future tech, which is going to build the Pyramid of the Sun. It's also going to produce a huge amount of culture and production. However, I had my cities set to culture festival, which meant that when the production came in to build stuff, it was instead converted into culture. It's a very stupid little setup, but I do believe it will do the trick nicely. Right, now this might be the end of the age here because I'm speed running it like some kind of demon. I'm actually going to want to finish mysticism and future tech off at the same time because then that will give me 2 unique attribute points. So let's try and see if we can actually do it. Let's go code of laws, and I need you on science focus. What are you doing? You're building a library. Ah, that's fine. Get a library built. Right, there we go. We're on 99% of this age, and we are about to research future civic as well as future tech at the same time. Brilliant. This is very silly. We really should not have done this. The game should not have let me do this. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe we're ready to click next turn, as this is going to be the end of the age. So we're bam, we finish the age, we get future civic and future tech at the same time, hopefully. Yep, it worked. Fantastic, and that's the age over. That gives us 2 wildcard points, which is great. We can grab culture towards studying civic masteries and +1 culture for every great work on display. Lovely. Right, that now puts us in a very stupid situation where we are making 300 science per turn and 200 culture. If we compare that with the AI, we basically have 10 times the resources than everyone else. Right, well there we have it. This is the end of our first age on turn 129. These ages are meant to last, I think, about 250 to 300 turns. So to say I've speedrun it is a little bit of an understatement. So bam, we did it. We completed the age and we get ourselves some legacy bonus points, as well as some lovely experience. So into the next age we go. Now, when it comes to the civilizations we can play, it's mostly down to what we did in the previous age or who we were playing as. For example, if in the previous age we reconquered a lost settlement, we'd be able to play as Spain. But as we put 8 resources inside of one city, we get the opportunity to play as the Ming. So that's who we're going to pick because they get this bonus here, which is just +50% science in the capital. What? Alright, so we're into the next age. Now, our war against Xerxes is technically over, although the war appears to have mostly been used by Lafayette in order to expand his empire. However, the impacts of the previous age do matter. So, for example, Napoleon and Lafayette really quite like us because we were allies, whereas Xerxes absolutely detests us. Now, with the ages all feeding into each other, we get the opportunity to pick some bonuses based off of our previous empire's legacies. For example, we can pick up Wondrous Heritage, so that wonders we control get +1 culture and +1 happiness. This is really good considering that culture for us equals science. We can also get Master Caravaneer, which means we get +5 gold for every trade route that we had in the previous age, which is +30 gold per turn, which is really decent. And then we have a couple of points left to play around with. So we're going to grab Economic Attribute, and then finally we'll grab the Great Library Golden Age so that our academies retain their basic yields and we maintain some great science. So we're bam, into this next age we go with all of our little modifiers. We have some points to spend, of course. So we're going to grab some growth rate in our cities, and then +2 gold per age for every active trade route. Lovely. So yes, we step into the next stage already making more science and culture and gold than everyone else, with the exception being Napoleon, who evidently also went for a very trade route heavy build. Now there are still quite a few important things to remember, namely that our previous quarter, I believe, still exists, which means when we research technology, we still get production. This is a holdover from our previous empire. However, most of the luxury resources that we knew and were previously exploiting are now gone, and an entirely new set of them have been created, which we're going to want to rapidly expand out to try and claim. Alright, let's get ourselves some technology going. Now we do start with our technology boosted, thanks to the work we put in from the previous generation, and this is going to allow us to grab an early astronomy. Our main rush is to try and get towards education as soon as possible. However, remember, we do need to grab as many great works as possible, and so in our case that means we need a religion. I'm going to start researching economics, and then we'll make a transition towards piety and all of that. Oh, and yes, our government needs to be created. Luckily for us, we do hold over quite a bit of our advantages from the previous generation, so we can slot in all of these advantages, and boom, we're up to even more science. Lovely. Here we go. Here come in the first city-states. Fantastic. We have ourselves the city-state of Vilnius over here. We've got Najim and Nassau. Okay, right. Some of these are really useful. Some of these are completely useless. In our case, we're going to want Vilnius, as we want as many cultural city-states as possible. When it comes to our government, we're going to go for theocracy, and we're going to have a huge focus on catching as many relics as possible in this age, as well as attaining the Enlightenment. Basically a science and culture focus, which is just how we should be playing our leader. And with our first technology research, we can now build ourselves an observatory. Yes, fantastic. There we go, fantastic. We researched some technology, and that massively boosted our construction over here. This observatory was going to take 5 turns, instead it's going to take 1. That's what it's all about. We are still on our beeline towards education, so we're going to focus guilds, then feudalism, and we're starting to get some lovely diplomatic options thrown our way by Lafayette and Napoleon. Even Xerxes wants to start being our friend now. Wow, that's a first. Oh, and Napoleon loves us so much thanks to the previous age that he's willing to enter into an alliance. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We get an alliance out of him, which in our case boosts up our science by a further 50%. Oh yes, I forget, with culture we can take a look at what Ming gives us. So they can build a great wall, which produces culture, and then eventually money. They also get advantages towards purchasing buildings in towns, and additional science by putting resources in the capital city. So yeah, Ming isn't the best, but if we can use that plus 50% science effectively, that's what's going to matter. Oh, Lafayette is ready to become a friend as well, right? Let's do that, form alliance, there we go. So that's an additional alliance, so additional science for us. All right, let's get ourselves a kiln built in our capital. This will provide us with some culture. Oh, we can actually pick our first celebration, lovely. Right, so we get the opportunity to either get plus 40% production towards civilian and support units for 10 turns, or a bunch of culture. I'm going to go for the civilian support units, as this lets us do something pretty silly. I think that now makes our mandarins even cheaper. So we're going to spam out a huge amount of mandarins and then just dominate the trade world. And we've absolutely blitzed our way towards education, which is great. Now we need to grab ourselves piety and get our religion underway. On turn 21 of the exploration era, we are finally ready to make ourselves a religion. So say hello to Scienceology. Religions in this game are simple. You pick a belief for how your religion generates new relic-y great works, and beliefs that give bonuses from converting others. In our case, we get 2 relics when converting a foreign city with a wonder, and each converted foreign settlement gives us 4 science per turn. I think I actually picked a bad relic choice here, as we've been curb stomping the AI so hard that they haven't really had a chance to build many wonders. Still, this is the age of exploration, so I'm sending off boats to try and find new exciting resources to exploit and nations to bully into accepting an alliance. Oh yes, this is it! We've discovered the greatest gift in all of human history. Tea! Located on a small island to the west of our best bud Napoleon is this treasured good. If we can get a settlement nearby to exploit that resource, we can start turning it into treasure fleets, which progress this age's economic quest line. Of course, the focus is still on an overwhelming scientific victory, but I find the best way to enjoy such things is with a warm cup of Yorkshire tea in hand. Now, one thing I'm starting to do in our second city of Whack is build our Great Wall. This is synergizing with our wonders and modifiers to produce a lovely amount of science and culture. The latter, of course, is then converted back into science. It's a fantastic synergy. Oh, fantastic, we meet a new Civ, the wonderful Ahsoka, playing as the Shawnee. Now, he can be a rather aggressive Civ, but with enough positive trade deals, I'm sure we can turn him into a science buff. Sorry, I mean valued friend and ally. A few turns exploring later, and Tekumesh shows up as a new world leader. He's playing as the Abbasid, so once again, good chance of war, but we just want friends in in this world. We finally are now able to pick up our first city-state of the age. Of course, these are absurdly useful chaps to have because the sway ability gives us +1 culture on culture buildings for each city-state we control. This is easily going to be giving us a huge boost to our culture as my rampage continues. Oh my, who's this? It's Himiko of Songhai, the final resident of our New World continent, and hopefully a great trading partner for years to come. Of course, not as good as Napoleon, who is single-handedly bankrolling our economy with bountiful trade routes. I'll never betray you, my sweet Frenchy friend. Okay, this wonder is going to be special. This is the Forbidden City, a wonder that normally is pretty weak, giving just +2 culture and gold to fortification buildings. But hey, remember all those great walls I decided to build? Well, they're about to be supercharged. Oh yes, with that now constructed, look at those yields. Normally these numbers can only be achieved by stacking stupid amounts of specialists on the same tile, but no, we're doing something magical here. Turn 51, a brilliant turn to achieve 500 science and culture per turn. The AI is nowhere close to us at the moment. Oh, and I would also like to point out I'm deliberately playing suboptimally, because if I play too well and finish the science and civic trees, then we're forced to research future tech. This causes the end of the age to come faster, which means we don't get to farm as many wonderful treasure fleets for our economic legacies and settlements for our military legacies. By holding myself back, this is the only way we can truly break the game in the next age. Right, I've been delaying the inevitable for quite a while, but it has to come to an end because I have finished every single technology in the technology tree, which means we now have to start researching future tech. So, yeah, we're just gonna have to keep on smashing out as much future tech as possible. We'll also grab Renaissance for +2 culture on displayed great works, which has taken our culture from 400 per turn up to 700 culture per turn, which, it's absurd. It's so much more than everyone else. Right, we're establishing Gulin City as our new world hub of commerce and gloriousness, which is going to be quite exciting. It is going to be our third city on this brand new continent, and it has access to tea, which is great. It may or may not be getting attacked at any random moment by nearby evil bodies, but there's nothing I can do to stop that from happening. We're also rapidly completing the Enlightenment, which is great. This is achieved by just having a bunch of high-yield tiles, something that you do by just dumping a bunch of specialists down. And as we're doing so incredibly well, yes, we can dump down a bunch of specialists. It doesn't really get in our way. My goodness, how many great works are we up to? Oh, we got quite a lot. We got quite a lot of fantastic new great works. Oh, people keep trying to steal technology on me. Ashoka, the world renouncer, who was trying to be my friend, has used the steel tech on me, and this has given them 2,000 science, which is actually really good. I guess it's scaled off of my science production, so that's why the yields are so obscene, but it does make sense, and I also can't really be mad at the AI. I would have done the exact same in their shoes. Right, here comes another treasure fleet. Wabam, more treasure fleet points. Right, we've achieved our first future tech, which has put us 10% of the way towards the end of the game. Yep, we can only do this a few times, but that's okay. I think it makes sense for us to start filling out some of these lovely trees. So let's grab +2 culture on all of our specialists. Wabam, there we go. Okay, that's a second completion of future tech. We're going to do it again. Yeah, this is just utter madness at the moment with the amount we're producing in our capital. Oh, we've got our first little crisis of this age. It's the bourgeoisie. Yep, the merchants are destroying our nation, which is great fun. And that means that our peoples are going to have to start working together to overcome the bourgeoisie menace. Yes, I'm very excited to deal with the bourgeoisie. Of course, whilst this is happening, we are absolutely smashing our way through the culture tree. We've only got one more thing to go, which is imperialism. And then it is full swing into the future civic. Yes, here we go. We have to slot in some negatives for our crisis. Well, let's go for +1 gold maintenance for military units, as that barely makes a dent in our massive economy. It feels great. Everything is kind of working at the moment. The main thing we need to do now, though, is get a few more settlements actually settled. You see, I want to make sure I have the opportunity to play as America in the next stage, which means we want 3 distant land settlements that are placed on grassland. So not too difficult to pull off. Let's grab this. Gold buildings receive +1 gold for every city-state I'm a suzerain of. Why not? Bam, let's do that for the economy. All right, and let's place down a little aggressive settlement here. Fantastic. That has unlocked our ability to play America and probably annoyed everyone we were standing near. Oh my goodness, we've got 3 wildcard points to spend. This is getting quite silly. Let's grab +10% culture for every alliance we have for that nice little boost. And then we'll also grab some bonuses for having specialists. There we go. So They no longer cost as much food or happiness to maintain, and we get part of our growth refunded when choosing to select a specialist. Right, okay, the new elite are forming. Yep, the bourgeoisie are rising up and gaining economic dominance over the poor little plebs of our land. That's going to be all okay, don't worry. I guess we can say, look, let's have a weak bureaucracy. We don't really care about influence. I don't mind wasting some of it on keeping the rich people happy. And let's start unloading more and more of our treasure fleet cargo. Big money. Was that another attribute point? Yep, 2 more attribute points to spend on stuff. Right, I guess we're just going to finish off all of these trees. Let's grab this one and then flat plus 5% science repeatable. I mean, we could do. This would just yeet us into the future. Here come more treasure fleet points. Okay, well, the game has thrown me a huge curveball. Apparently there's a revolution happening and I need to pick a side. I can either choose long live the republic, long live the dictatorship, or my personal favorite, long live the monarchy. Pip pip tally-ho, friends. Let's keep that crown on a head, you know. Oh, I guess that means I'm now a monarchy. So I can go plus 40% gold for 10 turns. Nice, quick constitutional change. Why not? Let's grab the enlightenment and throw in, minus 6 combat strength on all military units. Yep, we're going to purge the officer corps. That's how I like it. The civic tree has now just given up and said that we are no longer researching civics, which is pretty funny. And I guess we could go for another future tech. All right, we're going to get future tech, bam, which takes us into the next stage. We build a massive tower of happiness, and then next treasure fleet, go. Please be a big one. There we go, it was a big one. Yes. Oh, we did it. Milestone achieved. Treasure fleet. Lovely jubbly. Fantastic. Look at that. We have smashed this age into pieces. Absolutely decimated it in terms of balance. And that's what I like. Anything we want to build before the world ends? We could purchase ourselves another Great Wall. I mean, it is pretty horrifically overpowered, so let's do that. Quick bit of research on the way out. I suppose we grab some technology and sink our wildcard points into something that seems good. Let's go for plus 10% culture in cities with a wonder. Anything in scientific? I guess we can grab plus 1 science on each quarter. Bam, nice. There we go. Right, we've sunk in all of our points. The age has come to an end. We are horrifically overpowered, and we're bam. All right, exploration age over. We did it. Oh, we did so good. So yes, we did great. We enlightened basically everyone. We also led a glorious economic victory. So it's pretty much a clean sweep on everything we did, which is great. So let us view the Legends report. We get a bunch of experience. Very nice. And we can now move on into the next age. America is all about production and exploiting resources, and I found that the balance of that is actually really quite weak. Mexico, however, is all about culture production, which in our case is good as culture equals science. The Mughals are pretty silly because they get plus 75% gold from all sources, which basically means you just endlessly buy yourself a military. And then finally we have the wonderful Russia. Plus 1 culture and plus 1 science and districts, and basically just the entire empire is built around trying to gain culture and science. So that's who we're going to be playing as today. Welcome to the modern age, where we are playing as Russia. Now, in this age, we get to pick some legacies, and I've gone for quite a few bonuses, plus 3 science per turn for each quarter we have. We get golden age universities, basically meaning our universities maintain their effects. They aren't rendered useless. We get plus 2 culture for each relic in the previous age, so that's just a flat plus 30 culture, a little expansion point, a diplo point, and an economic point. So there we go, well, bam, we confirm all of that, and suddenly our empire's looking pretty good. We make 297 culture per turn and 269 science. If we compare that to our opponents, yet we are indeed doing a fair bit better. Right, and then if we go around the world, we can see our lovely little empire and how it's doing. The modern age is very different to previous ages because the entire focus is on industrialization. At the start of the age, we will discover the steam engine and then transition into the age of flight, and then finally into rocketry, where we start being able to mess about with nuclear bombs. When it comes to culture, you actually unlock a few interesting things. When you get to political theory, you can choose an ideology. Your ideology will make a huge impact on not only the way you play, but also how other civs react to you. This is basically the age of war, because it makes the AIs incredibly hostile to you if you're not following the same ideology. And as much as I do want to have as many alliances as possible, and it's incredibly likely we can't maintain that. Anyway, let's check out our neighbors. Lafayette to our right is playing as the French Empire. Napoleon to our south is playing as the religious Siam. Xerxes is playing as the money-making Mughal Mongols. Himiko is playing as Japan, which makes sense. Ahsoka is playing as the Qing dynasty, and Teku Meser is playing as Buganda, which in my humble opinion is the worst possible choice you can have. Right, time to fix our cities a bit. Now, many of the lovely resources that we know and love have all been converted into something very different. For example, that magical tea that I talked about is now a factory resource, and for each tea you produce in a factory, you get a flat plus 3% science. Oh yes, we also need to pick our government, right? Let's just slam in +2 science on happiness buildings, additional culture, science for resources, and then science and gold, vice versa. There we go, fantastic. This should do well. That boosts up our science to 313 and our culture to 327. Then we need to actually bring back some cities. So we're going to convert this lovely settlement here into being a city. The more cities we have, the better. So we're going to convert this settlement to a city as well. Now, of course, all of our military have been upgraded to fancy firearm-wielding line infantry, the kind of which you could use to conquer the known world. However, we're definitely not going to want to use line infantry to actually do our warring. No, instead, I would much prefer to use modern weapons. Right, so with our empire now lovingly established and the world stage set, we should end our turn, because this is where a little bit of chaos can begin. Yep, here come the city-states. Okay, we've got a science city-state here and here, a culture city-state in Kumasi over there. Oh my goodness, there are so many scientific city-states lying around. This is very good for us. There's even Geneva. Oh, and there's so much oil. Oh, we have to go for this oil. I'm immediately going to pay for a settler. We need these little expansionary cities to grab as much oil as possible. Oil is combat power, and combat power is good. Oh, we even need to choose our government. Right, a few options here. And of course, the most important of all of them is Elective Republic, which gives us plus 20% culture and science. Yep, it's just very good. Oh, Lafayette immediately wants to form an alliance, so let's do that for an additional boost to our science and culture. And now let's start making friends with some city-states. So Bogota, let's send them a little friendship request. Yes, I want all of these empires underneath my thumb. Right, I'm using all of our lovely influence to try and befriend these city-states as fast as possible. We don't want the AI wiping them off the map, and the best way to stop that is to ally ourselves with them. Right, our empire is doing very nicely indeed. But if you remember, we're playing as Catherine the Great, whose entire greatness depends on the amount of great works you get. Now, the main way you get great works in this game is with explorers. We need to send out explorers who will then find all of the little relics scattered around the map and harvest them up for us. There we go, we now have our first explorer. Lovely. Oh, and my settler has arrived on this new continent, ready to claim oil. Yes, perfect. I get the feeling this is going to upset Geneva quite a lot, but they'll get over it. Alright, so we can pay for our first explorer. Here we go, fantastic. This smart little boffin will try and research the locations of all of the world's greatest hidden discoveries. And I need to smash in as many of these lovely specialists into the map as I can. They are great. Alright, brand new settlement down. Here we go. Moscow has been created. Alright, we're going to grab social science for +2 science from all specialists. There we go. Wabam. That should do quite nicely for us. Oh, Bogota is sending us even more goodies for becoming their friends. Oh, this is great. Right, fantastic. I finished my research, which just finished the construction of Oxford University. That's great. And that has then given me 2 new technologies for free. I mean, genuinely, the first civilization we played is so ridiculously overpowered thanks to that district, because you just get so much production for free. I can't believe it was greenlit into the game. Anyway, let's grab ourselves the steam engine. Oh, we get ourselves our first artifact from a man we found in a bog. Perfect. So that's our first artifact that can be popped into our capital city. Lovely, there we go. And we can start extracting our first oil from the ground. Yes, here we go. Thank you, Geneva. Let's start befriending you. It's gonna take you a while before you love us, but we are generating oil. Okay, we got another scientific attribute point that's just been handed to us. Very nice. It's another point where I think we just start spamming +5% into this repeatable science thing. So there we go, we're bam. We just get extra bit more science there. +1 social policy slot from diplomatic. Let's grab that. Fantastic. This allows us to grab land heritage for +6 culture on natural wonders, which will be very nice for this mountainous tundra. Right, now we need to actually decide our ideology. We have a few available. We either have democracy, fascism, or communism. Now, all of these are pretty good. However, democracy is by far the most overpowered if you're playing a tool game. Basically, you get extra happiness and culture from specialists. Now, as specialists cost happiness, by going democracy, you no longer have to worry about specialists being a problem. This allows me to very comfortably add in humanism for +2 culture from specialists at the cost of the happiness for maintaining them, because we're never going to have to worry about that happiness ever again. Alright, so we've now researched artifacts for our home continent, which has revealed their location. We now know that the 3 hidden artifacts on our continent are all located here. This is very good for us. The other AIs have not got this information yet, so they can't start extracting them from the ground. We get to choose a celebration, science or culture. Let's go culture. Wabam. bam. Oh my goodness, we can add in so much stuff. Let's add in all of this. Great. We're running out of spaces for our government policies. Yes, our science and culture keeps just climbing up and up and up. Definitely a good problem to have. Right, in one turn, Bogota becomes our city-state friend. Very nice. In 3 turns time, Arnie does as well. And then we have this city-state here I'd like to make friends with. Yes, this is all going nice and swiftly, I'd say. Oh, we get plus 10 culture from putting a specialist in here. Fantastic. Look at that. We're up to 700 culture now. This is getting very powerful. And Napoleon would like an alliance. Well, don't mind if I do. Another alliance is another 50 culture out of thin air. Ooh, what is this? The Artisan League. Ah, yes. Science buildings gain plus 1 science for every city-state you're a suzerain of. Why not? I don't think that could go poorly. And there we go. We've now unlocked democracy. Fantastic. This gives us an extra cultural point to sink in, so we'll just get an extra plus 5% culture, which is repeatable. And then this bad boy. Let's grab plus 1 happiness per age. Yes, why not? It has also given me a large quantity of rifle infantry that I don't need to use because I'm a military genius. But yes, things are looking good in our little empire, and I think we're finally ready to start stealing even more city-states. So let's befriend this scientific city-state and expand our borders over here. Let's grab the scholarly network for plus 5% science for every city-state you're a suzerain of, which in our case is plus 10% science. So we're bam, lovely. And then our explorers can now begin doing their exploring out here. Oh, and just a heads up, Russia also has one of the most overpowered units in the game that they can recruit. It is the Katusha rocket launcher. It is a siege unit that has the splash damage ability. What this basically means is that if we were to, say, land a rocket here on top of an enemy, it would also damage this enemy here. It gets very silly, but basically you can defeat anyone in the game with a large enough supply of rocket launchers. Right, let's make some alterations to our policies here. Firstly, we're going to want to add in suffrage, and we definitely want fireside chats. Yep, there we go. We are now up to 908 culture per turn. Fantastic. And we have a spare culture point to spend, so let's just dump it into this repeatable. There we go. This is getting very, very silly. Oh, and now we get our first few artifacts. Yep, this is where some jazzy stuff really happens. We get plus 1 artifact from there, and then plus 1 artifact from here. We then want to run on over here and grab this final artifact, and then make our way down south to prepare for when we can eventually steal the artifacts from this continent. So yes, these relics have now been added into our capital, which is taking our culture almost up to the coveted 1,000 culture mark, and we are at 800 science. Our opponents, however, yes, not particularly close to that at all. Oh dear, oh dear. And there we have it. With 1 last specialist added into our capital, not only is it giving us more happiness, it is now giving us 1,000 culture per turn on turn 22 of the modern age. Yeah, so by placing down specialists now, we just get some stupid bonuses. So this tile here is giving us 20 science, 50 free culture, and 29 happiness. And of course, remember that culture is then converted into science thanks to our special leader's ability. Oh, we get to choose our first celebration. Yes, it's We Love Prime Minister Day, so we can go for plus 20% culture for 10 turns. Why not? There we go. We can even add in a new little advantage. Let's grab plus 25% gold and happiness towards maintaining buildings. Lovely. And yes, things are looking very nice for us. Okay, we are just absolutely storming away with the game. We're getting mass production now. All right, we've got another culture point we can spend, so I guess we just grab another plus 5% culture. Yeah, this is absolutely stupid. Oh no, I've got some bad news. Himiko has also gained some explorers, which means that Himiko has gone absolutely crazy and constructed about 5 of them. The AI really doesn't know how to pace explorers correctly, which is rather funny. But yes, that now puts us in a slightly more precarious position where she will take some of our lovely artifacts away from us. But it's okay, because I've secured a new alliance with the Qing, and in doing so, given us even more culture per turn. I honestly don't know if we need any more culture per turn, but we are here nonetheless. Right, turn 33 is here, and we've unlocked a glorious technological change. We have constructed our first factory right here. It looks very smoggy, which is great. Look, we Brits love a good Bernie factory, and with the addition of a factory, we can now process some of these fantastic goods that we found lying around the map. For example, we can turn that all-important tea resource into plus 3% science. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We just slap it into our capital, and we're bam. That's an extra 3% science across our entire empire, taking us up to 1,134 science. That increase in science we gained is almost the entire science output of the French Empire, just from drinking a cup of tea. Oh, here's some line infantry. I can have them fight my fully equipped tier 3 World War II infantry company. Surprisingly, there's not too much difference in our infantry combat ability, but that's largely because I haven't sunk all of my bonuses into fighting just yet. Oh, fantastic. We can now grab Preservation Societies for +3 science from displayed great works. There we go, lovely. We're up to 1,500 science, 1,600 culture. Yep, it's all good. Oh, we can start researching future civic. Oh, this is so broken. This is so stupidly broken. This game can't stop me anymore. I've just become too powerful. Here we go. I think we're going to have a little bit of a rivalry. Techmush here has decided to join communism, which means he's really going to start hating me. He doesn't like the fact that I've settled close to his capital. He doesn't like the fact that I've noticed he was spying on me. So, yep, it's probably going to be war. The good news for me, however, is I've just decided to slam down a massive city right near his capital, and that's going to allow me to do some very wonderful things. But first, Katusha rocket launchers. But yes, he's the first AI to unlock an ideology, which means that he's the first AI to reach this point on the civic tree. That's right, the AIs are only just getting to political theory, and I have finished the tree. Oh, it's so stupid. Right, let's give all of our military faster movement, seeing as we're going to be probably going to war soon. Oh, do I want a culture attribute point or a scientific attribute point? Well, we kind of have all of the attribute points as we've completed the entirety of the culture tree and the entirety of the science tree as well. So, yeah, a bit awkward. Let's just grab that then, I guess, and I think that scientific boost takes us up to a nice pathetic 1,873. Yeah, that's okay. Now, next turn we're going to unlock this really interesting little ability called Smadvazhevipe, which I have no way to pronounce that. That's just nonsense. Which just gives us a flat +1% culture for every city we have, or +2% if that city's settled in tundra, which, you know, that's where pretty much all of our cities are settled. So that's actually quite nice, isn't it? Now, we have currently got brand new T-34 tanks, whereas our opponents are still largely running around on horseback. So I would really like it if the AI went to war with us. There's a chance because, you know, the different ideologies and they hate us. Ooh, +10% science and +10% gold in our capital. That seems like a great idea. We'll grab that. We can also then grab capitalism. And then if we go over to our capital, I wonder, are we at the... oh, we are 4 science away from the 2,000 science mark. Oh my goodness, that is incredible. I mean, we can just cheat it over the line by going to this settlement here and buying ourselves a tiny little institute. There we go. That is an extra 5 science. If we go over to our capital, yep, 2009 science in total. Oh, this poor game. Now, the more that this age goes on, the worse the ideology debuff is going to get, until we reach a point where our lovely AI friend simply just detests us completely. All right, we've 1 technology left, which is mobilization 2, and then we just have to grind future science over and over and over again. However, we're doing pretty decently, all things considered. Our lovely new settlement of Moscow over here is doing very well, to the point where I think I'm going to upgrade it to a city. And by doing so, we actually generated a little bit more culture, which is very fun. And that culture, of course, is turned into more science. So, yep, our yields are just still going. They do not stop. Oh, dear. This is going to get nerfed into the ground. So if you're playing this game at launch, enjoy it whilst you can. It will not last. Right, so 1 technology remaining, and it's future tech. So I guess we now have to start researching that. Now, one thing we can take a look at is our resource allocation and see that we have 5 coal, 8 oil, 9 niter, and all of these other great, wonderful little bonuses. They stack up very sillily. For example, with the oil, that means our heavy boats now get +8 combat damage, which is one of the reasons why I'm constructing battleships over here, as they will allow us to solo almost anything in the game. All right, my aircraft carrier is now loaded up. Time to send it close towards our little friends. Yep. Oh no, Napoleon has gone fascist. No, Napoleon. Oh, we were going to be such good friends with Napoleon. Well, unfortunately, I believe we're going to have to enter into our war against the world era, as I do believe our dear friends will start to turn against us. I mean, you know, we haven't done anything wrong other than pollute the entire landscape. Right, so there we go. That is all technology finished, and 1 last civic to go before the world is basically crushed. Now, we could rapidly end this game stupidly fast by just blitzing our way through the future technology before the AI can even react, but we don't have to. Instead, we can play with our food, so to speak. Right, I get the feeling that this lovely chap here is going to try and declare war on me soon enough, mostly because he absolutely detests me, and we can kind of jump the gun and just attack him first. Does he have any friends? Oh, he is allied with Japan. That's annoying because I kind of like Japan. I don't really want to have to blow up their entire empire, but I will do it. All right, we can no longer continue researching or doing civics because we are just finishing this age too quickly, which means we have to basically shift enter and just finish our turns before actually doing them. At the same time, in my capital, I'm just going to spam out a huge quantity of tanks over and over again. Right, I actually have my air force here ready to go, which is really cool. It is this lovely aircraft carrier, and as we can see, we can compare my aircraft carrier against our opponent's wooden shack. All right, all things considered, I think it's time for war. So we're going to speak to Tukmesh here and say, hey, it's wartime. However, what I'm going to do is carpet bomb their capital city using my absolutely ridiculous aircraft carrier. This allows me to drop a bomb to damage half of the city's fortifications. Then here comes another one, followed by, you guessed it, another one, and that immediately blows up the artillery cannon beneath it. And this final one, well, that's just for the civilian casualties. Then we have my lovely Katusha rocket system here, which will fire off at 57 combat strength, blowing up their unique unit like so. Fun! I love this. Next up, I've got myself some battleships. Oh, they're up to 78 combat strength. Nice, right. This one battleship should be able to deal with this settlement. And then I'm going to need to use these bomber planes here to blow up these units. So what do we have here? Right, we've got an artillery piece in movement there, so let's blow that up. Got another artillery piece in movement here, so let's blow that one up as well. Actually, let's bomb this city, because in doing so, we do some good damage to it. It means my battleship should be able to take it next turn. All right, okay, Himiko has now declared war against me, and my aircraft carrier is under attack. I completely forgot aircraft carrier needs to be defended by regular ships. I'm an idiot. I'm an absolute idiot. Anyway, we're going to bomb this settlement, which means we can then just walk in with our little ship and capture it, and then we can just start randomly blowing up this navy. Oh, Xerxes has declared war on me. Lovely. I'm going to ignore you and instead just start blowing up these undefended Japanese cities with battleships. Anyway, right, we're going to drop a bomb on these seahorses that I don't think really know what's gonna hit them. Rip seahorses. Okay, we're gonna start advancing onto one of the Mughal cities, and unfortunately it appears to have been named after your mother. Oh dear. Alright, into Lahore we go. Fire the Katusha rockets. Send in the tanks. Lovely. There are hardly any defenses remaining. Very little damage has been received on our end. This is going swimmingly. Ah, look at those lovely little infantry charges as various plebs try and run down my lovely Katusha rocket launchers. You can't do it, you fools. The main reason we're trying to capture all of these settlements is so that we can reach the end of the military tree, which allows us to start picking up nuclear bombs. Oh my goodness, the sheer amount of oil we have is ridiculous. Look at this battleship. It's up to 81 combat strength. So against this, tier 1 riflemen of the same era, yeah, they don't really stand much of a chance. Oh my goodness, it's like bowling.
Nice, bro.
Right, we are sieging our way into the capital, and oh my goodness, we've just done it. With 2 tanks only, we've stolen Kampala. Yes, this is good. I think, yes, we are just 1 settlement away, so this tiny settlement here, from technically reaching the end of the tree we wanted to get to. Perfect. I've kind of stopped messing about with 90% of the stuff in our empire, and I haven't even built any more factories, which is the main purpose of this entire game mode. Instead, I've sat in someone's capital and used an absolutely massive battleship to blow up their field guns. Alright, there we go, we did it. We have completed the military tree. We've maxed out the ideology. Lovely jubbly. So that means I think if we go to one of our high production-y cities here, yes, we can now build the Manhattan Project. Perfect. Alright, this place has the highest production, I think, so let's slam it down. Oh, we're marching into the capital of Delhi with a single tank against Xerxes, who's pretty much hated us this entire game. I'm really amazed we even let him last this long, but hey, I guess I'm a benevolent leader. Oh, and there we go. We've knocked out an entire civilization from the game. There goes the wonderful Tekmush. He is dead. Oh, and I think that's the end of the game. Oh, beans, we accidentally hit 100%. Oh, we've perfected every single tree. We've completed military, science, and culture. The only thing we haven't messed with is economic, because, well, what's the point when you've done this? Well, I hope there's a continue game button at the end of this, because otherwise I'm going to be mostly annoyed. Not least because I didn't get to test out my lovely brand new Katusha rocket system. Or launch a nuclear bomb. I deserve to launch a nuclear bomb. Right, come on, game. Give me another turn. All right, there we go. Modern Age has come to an end. We get the flawless campaign achievement for having probably the greatest game ever, because it ended on turn 69. Nice. So, yep, we win the game as Russia. We can click continue, and there we go. Nice. Here we are. We've done everything. The AI didn't. We got a bunch of levels and experience. That's fun. And then exit to main menu. What? Game, why can't I continue? Where is the just one more turn button? What the hell, game? Okay, so I need to load several autosaves ago and hope that I don't accidentally win before I'm able to drop a bomb. I know what ends the game. It's me befriending the city-state of Helsinki causes me to get a free technology, and that free technology is future tech, which then causes the game to end. Right, well, we're just going to shift tab and end turn, and then next turn when we make friends with that city-state, hopefully it's all gonna not happen, right? So it really wants us to choose the city-state bonus. We're going to have to ignore it and just pretend that the city-state bonus isn't there. There we go, we can bypass it. We just click shift end turn. Perfect. We don't have to research anything. I will get to keep playing my game of Civ one way or another. And here it is, turn 72, wabam. The Manhattan Project is now completed. Lovely. It is now Oppenheimer time. So we have a few options. We can either do Operation Ivy, which just ends the game immediately, or we can choose to produce nuclear weapons. Takes us 7 turns to build a bomb. That's not going to stop me. So after doing the Manhattan Project, you might have noticed I now have this lovely ability here called the WMD Strike that allows me to drop a bomb just anywhere. Really. And interestingly, Napoleon is right here. And what I can do is declare war on him, which will upset him and give him some bonus war support. However, it allows me to do one very important thing. It allows me to get very close to his land, and it puts me in exactly just enough range to actually bomb his capital city. Now this is perfect because it means next turn we're able to do something very nice. So we have ourselves a weapon of mass destruction that we can drop. So we're going to drop 1 nuclear bomb on Napoleon's capital. And just like that, he became Napoleon blown apart. Yep, that's the sole reason why I wanted to continue the game. Look at that. That's beautiful. Are we gonna actually drop another nuclear bomb? Where do we want to plop this one? Let's drop it. Ooh, on another city owned by Napoleon. Why not? How did you know that's exactly what I wanted for Christmas? Oh dear, there goes 10 population. Lovely. God, I love this animation. It's so good. Ah, there we go. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's safe to say I've now beaten Civ, and I can now finish the game by choosing to pick up the Artillery Master bonus, and that Artillery Master bonus allows my Katusha rocket launcher here to do 62 damage. Perfect. Lovely. What a glorious way to finish the game. In fiery applause. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, an entire game of Sid Meier's Civilization 7, which I do believe should demonstrate just how perfectly balanced this game is, and how much thought and attention the developers have put in. Now, am I salty that there's no extra turn button at the end of the game? Yes, that definitely needs to be fixed. Oh, and also, why is there no British Empire? Come on, Sid, you know you want to put it in. If you don't, I'm going to continue making videos on this game and showing even more broken exploits. Oh wait, no, that's just what you want anyway. Oh well, thanks for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to give it a like and hop on down to the comment section to tell me who your favorite Civ is. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more perfectly balanced Civ content, and a huge thank you to our wonderful patrons and channel members for making this all the more possible. Anyway, I'll see each and every one of you in the next one. Have a lovely day, and goodbye for now.